Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Super English Talks. I'm your host, Jara, and I'm so happy that you are here with me today. If this is your first time listening, let me tell you something important. You didn't find this podcast by mistake. You are here because you want to learn, you want to grow, and you want to become a better version of yourself. And guess what? You are not alone on this journey. Every day, we share simple and useful lessons. We believe that when we share knowledge with love, it can truly change lives. So if you are ready to take the next step, to learn something new, to feel inspired, and to believe in your own potential, then stay with us. Make sure you subscribe because we're going to walk this path together, one day at a time. Now, before we start, I want you to use your imagination. Picture this. You're sitting in a cozy little cafe. The smell of fresh coffee is in the air. Around you, there are new international friends. They are laughing, telling stories, and talking about a movie they watched last night. You are smiling and nodding. You understand most of the words, but inside, your mind is racing. You have a funny story you want to share? Or maybe you have a great opinion about that movie. But you are searching for the right words. You are trying to build the sentences in your head, checking the grammar, translating from your language into English. And by the time you are ready to speak, the conversation has already moved on. Has that ever happened to you? It feels like there is an invisible wall. A wall between the person you are in your own language, smart, funny, interesting, and the person you can be in English. This episode is not just another normal episode. Think of it as a masterclass, a deep workshop. Together, we will explore how to break that wall and change your relationship with the English language. I will share detailed stories, practical exercises, and powerful techniques that you can start using immediately. This is going to be one of the most complete and useful guides you will ever hear. So if you are serious about reaching the next level of fluency, I invite you to subscribe and hit that little notification bell. You don't want to miss a single step of this journey. Now take a deep breath. Get comfortable. Clear your mind of distractions. And open your heart to a new way of learning. Are you ready? Let's begin. The very first and most important concept we need to talk about is immersion. True, deep immersion. When people hear this word, many immediately think about buying a plane ticket, packing their bags, and moving to an English-speaking country. And yes, that can be amazing. But let's be honest, for most people, it's not possible. It's too expensive, too difficult, or simply not realistic. But here's the wonderful truth. You don't need to move abroad to create immersion. You can create it right where you are, at home, in your city, in your everyday life. It's about making small, conscious, and consistent changes to your daily routine. Step by step, you can surround your brain with English so often that it starts to feel natural, familiar, and even comfortable. And where should we begin? Let's start with the object you probably touch and use more than anything else every single day, your smartphone. Now, think about this for a moment. How many times a day do you unlock your phone? How many times do you check your notifications, scroll through social media, or open an app? Maybe 50 times, maybe 100 times, maybe even more. Every single one of those moments, no matter how short, can actually become a tiny English lesson. You don't need to sit at a desk. You don't need a textbook. You only need to make one small change. And here is my challenge for you. Change your phone's system language to English. I know what you might be thinking right now. What if I can't understand a notification? What if there's an emergency and I can't find the setting I need? What if it's too confusing? These worries are completely normal. But let me reassure you, you already know your phone better than you think. You don't just read the words, You use the icons, the buttons, and your memory. For example, you already know the little gear icon means settings. You know the camera icon. You know where to tap to open your messages. So when you change the language, you're not learning from zero. You're simply seeing the correct English word for something you already understand. It's like putting a label on an object you already know how to use. Let me give you a real story. My friend Marco, from Italy, is a graphic designer. He's a very visual person, and he wanted to improve his English for work. One day, he decided to be brave and switch his phone to English. At first, it was not easy. The first 48 hours were difficult. He told me he would open his phone and see strange words like cellular data, do not disturb, or wallpaper. His brain would freeze for a moment. He had to stop, think, and sometimes even guess. To help himself, Marco carried a small notebook. Whenever he saw a word he didn't know, he wrote it down. In the beginning, he felt slow and even a little clumsy, almost like he was using a phone for the very first time. But something amazing happened. Around day 3, his brain started to adapt. He went to change the brightness on his screen, and without even thinking, he tapped on display and brightness. He didn't translate it. He didn't stop to think. His brain had already made the connection through repetition. By the end of the week, he was navigating his phone just as quickly as he did before. But now, instead of reading everything in Italian, he was reading in English. The word settings was no longer impostazioni in his head. It was simply settings.
No translation.
Just understanding. And here's the powerful part. Marco wasn't sitting at a desk. He wasn't opening a textbook. He was learning passively hundreds of times a day, just by using his phone. That one small change created hundreds of natural English repetitions, without adding extra study time to his schedule. That's the magic of digital immersion. So, here's my first challenge for you. Try switching your phone to English. If it feels scary, don't worry. You don't need to commit forever. Just try it for the weekend. Give yourself 2 days. See how it feels. It might be the first powerful step toward creating your very own immersion bubble. And remember, this idea doesn't stop with your phone. You can use the same principle with all of your digital life. Think about your computer or a laptop. Why not change the operating system language to English? Think about the websites you visit every day. If you usually read the news, try reading it in English. Websites like the BBC or Reuters often have versions written in simpler English, especially for learners. And here's a really big one: social media. Your social media feed can actually become one of your greatest teachers if you choose carefully. Ask yourself, who do you follow? If you love cooking, don't just follow chefs from your own country. Find 5 English-speaking chefs on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube. Follow them. Watch their videos. Read their recipes. If you like fitness, follow trainers who post in English. If you enjoy travel, follow travelers who share their stories in English. This way, every time you scroll, you're not just wasting time, you're learning. You're building your English environment, step by step, without extra effort. When you follow English content about your hobby, you don't just learn random words. You learn vocabulary that is useful, specific, and connected to your passion. For example, if you love cooking, you'll come across words like whisk, sauté, dice, or simmer. And because you're watching a chef actually whisking, sautéing, or dicing, the meaning becomes crystal clear. You're learning in real context, not just from a dictionary. Let me share another story with you. This is Priya from India. Priya loved gardening more than anything else. Her Instagram was full of gardening experts from her region. One day, She decided to search for gardening accounts from the UK and the US. Soon, her entire feed was filled with posts in English. She started seeing words like soil, seeds, sprouts, rows, pruning, and fertilizer. At first, some words were unfamiliar. But because she already understood gardening so well, she could usually guess the meaning from the pictures and videos. When she saw someone cutting branches, she understood the word pruning. When she saw bags of white powder, she understood it meant fertilizer. This made learning incredibly rewarding for her. She wasn't just memorizing random vocabulary lists. She was learning how to talk about her passion, gardening, in English. Every new word felt relevant and useful. Now, this is where immersion becomes even more powerful. It's not only about consuming content related to your hobbies. It's about using your passion as the engine that drives your English learning forward. Because, let's be honest, motivation in language learning goes up and down. Sometimes you feel excited, other times you feel tired. But your love for your hobby, that never disappears. That passion is a constant source of energy.
Think about this.
Imagine a young man who loves video games. Changing the game's language to English is a great start. But he can go further. What if he joins an international gaming clan on Discord? At first, he might only type short messages like hello or GG, which means good game. But soon, he will want to understand his teammates' jokes. He will want to join the strategy discussions. He will want to celebrate victories together. This desire will push him to learn. He'll pick up gaming slang naturally, like OP, overpowered, or nerf when a character is made weaker. These are not words you'll find in a typical classroom textbook, but they are real, living English. The kind of English that people actually use every day. And here's the amazing part. He might learn more useful English in 1 month of gaming with his new friends than in a whole year of traditional study.
Why?
Because he's motivated, engaged, and learning in context. Now, think about someone who is a huge fan of a movie series, like Harry Potter or The Lord of the Rings. Step 1 could be to watch the movies in English. That's a fantastic start. But step 2 could be even more exciting, joining an online fan community, for example, on Reddit. There, they can read fan theories, debates, and long discussions written in English. They can even write their own comments, maybe a short opinion, maybe a question, or maybe a theory of their own. This pushes them from being a passive consumer to becoming an active participant. They might also discover YouTube channels where creators make deep video essays analyzing the characters, the stories, or the themes. To follow these videos, they will need to improve their listening skills. The challenge will be big, but their passion for the story will keep them going. And because they care about this world so much, the hard work of language learning will feel almost effortless. It won't feel like study. It will feel like play. Let's return to Priya, our gardener. After a few months of following English-speaking gardening accounts, something amazing happened. She became more confident. She started leaving small comments on posts. What a beautiful rose. Or, thank you for this helpful tip. Then she took an even bigger step. She started her own simple gardening blog in English. She wasn't writing long articles. She kept it very simple. 1 photo of a plant in her garden each week, and just 2 or 3 sentences. For example, this is my hibiscus plant. This week, it has 3 new flowers. The color is a beautiful deep red. Do you see how powerful this is? Priya was no longer just reading English. She was using English to share her own life, her own passion. Priya's blog posts were not perfect. Her grammar wasn't always right, and sometimes she used the wrong tense. But that didn't matter. What mattered was that she was using the language. She was no longer just a learner. She was a creator. This act of producing English, of creating sentences and sharing her passion, helped her remember words much more deeply than if she had only been reading or listening. Passive learning is good, but active use of the language is what really makes it stick. And this is an important lesson for you too. Your passion is not only something to read about in English. It's not just a topic to watch videos on. It's a world you can step into, a community you can join, and a subject you can talk about using English. Now, let's take immersion from the digital world and bring it directly into your physical space. This next technique is simple, fun, and surprisingly powerful. You'll need just two things: a pack of sticky notes,
A pen.
Here's what to do. Walk around your house and start labeling things in English. Put a note that says door on your door. Write window and stick it on the window. Mirror on the mirror. Refrigerator on the refrigerator. Kettle on the kettle. Let me share a story about Anna from Poland. Anna was a very logical, organized person. When she heard about this method, she didn't just label 5 or 10 things. She went all in. She spent an entire Saturday labeling her whole apartment. She labeled the couch, the bookshelf, and the coffee table. She went into the kitchen and labeled the microwave, the oven, the cabinets, even the cutlery drawer. In the bathroom, she labeled the sink, the shower, the towel, and the faucet. At first, her husband Pavel thought she was a little crazy. He laughed and said their home looked like a kindergarten classroom. But then something interesting started to happen. Every time Anna went to get a glass of water, her eyes saw the word faucet. When she sat down to watch TV, she saw the word couch. The labels were everywhere. She couldn't avoid them. The words became part of her physical reality. After about a week, Pavel started to play along too. He was also learning English, so he began using the labels. He'd say things like, "Anna, could you pass me the remote control?" And he would point to the sticky note on it. Soon they turned it into a little game, quizzing each other as they went about daily life. Anna told me the biggest change wasn't with the obvious words, like table or chair. She already knew those. The real breakthrough came with the small, everyday objects she had never thought about in English. For example, she had never learned the word light switch. But now, every time she entered a dark room and flipped the switch, her eyes saw the sticky note. The English word connected instantly with the object. This is the magic of physical immersion. The objects around you and the English words for them become fused in your brain. You stop translating from your native language. Instead, you create direct pathways in English. Now, let's move from your visual environment to your audio environment, the soundscape of your life. One of the most powerful, low-effort, high-reward tools for language learning is passive listening. Passive listening simply means having English audio playing in the background while you do other things. You don't need to sit at a desk. You don't need a notebook. You don't even need to understand every single word. The goal is different. You want your brain to get used to the rhythm, melody, stress, and intonation of spoken English. You can do this while washing the dishes, driving to work, exercising at the gym, folding laundry, or even just riding the bus. Bit by bit, your ears will start to notice common patterns. Words will begin to sound familiar. Sentences will flow more naturally. And the best part? It doesn't feel like studying. It feels like living. Let's imagine a young woman named Chloe from France. Every day, she had to take the train to her office job. The trip was long and boring, about 45 minutes each way. For years, Chloe spent that time scrolling through social media or listening to the same French pop songs again and again. That time was what we can call dead time, time that passes without really giving you anything valuable. One day, Chloe made a new decision. She thought, why don't I use this time to improve my English? So she downloaded a few podcasts made for English learners. One of them told simple news stories at a slow, clear pace. The next morning, she got on the train, put in her headphones, and pressed play. At first, she felt nervous. The speakers were talking, but she only caught some words here and there. Most of it sounded like one long stream of confusing sounds. She guessed that she understood maybe 50% of what was being said. When she got off the train, she felt a little discouraged. She thought, this is too difficult for me. Maybe I'm not ready. But Chloe didn't give up. She made a promise to herself. I will try this for 2 weeks. Every day, both on my way to work and on my way back home, I will listen, no matter what. And that's exactly what she did. At first, she tried too hard to understand every single word. That made her stressed. So she decided to change her attitude. She stopped worrying about catching everything. She told herself, it's okay if I don't understand it all. I'll just let the sounds wash over me, like background music. After about a week, she noticed something new. She could hear the pauses between sentences more clearly. She started recognizing common phrases that kept repeating, like on the other hand, or as a result. Then, about 10 days later, something incredible happened. Chloe was listening to an episode about traveling in Southeast Asia. She wasn't even concentrating very hard. She was looking out of the train window, daydreaming. Suddenly, she realized that she had just followed an entire 5-minute story about a man visiting temples in Cambodia. She understood the beginning, the middle, and the end of the story. And the best part? She hadn't been straining or forcing herself. Her brain had done the work naturally, through repetition and exposure. That moment on the train was a turning point for Chloe. She felt a huge wave of confidence. She realized something powerful. Her brain was learning even when she wasn't actively studying. Now, what about you? What could you listen to? The options are endless. You could listen to podcasts about topics you already love. If you enjoy history, find a history podcast in simple English. If you love comedy, find one that makes you laugh. Remember, laughter is a universal language. You could listen to music. Pick English songs that you enjoy. Look up the lyrics online. First, read the lyrics while you listen a few times. Then, try to sing along. When you sing, you're practicing pronunciation, rhythm, and even memorizing new words and sentence structures in a natural and emotional way. You could also listen to audiobooks. Many libraries now have free apps where you can borrow them. Start with books for young adults or special graded readers that use simpler English. Listening to a narrator guide you through a story is not only enjoyable, but also helps you learn how words are really pronounced. All of these activities are powerful because they don't feel like studying. They feel like living. And slowly, your brain will start to absorb the natural music of English, the sounds, the patterns, and the flow. The idea is simple. Don't waste the quiet, empty moments of your day. Fill them with the rich, living sounds of English. That's how your ears and brain grow stronger little by little, without extra effort. Now, from the world of sound, let's move to the world of words on a page. Reading is one of the most powerful ways to learn English.
Why?
Because when you read, you do 3 things at the same time. You build your vocabulary. You see grammar in real use, not just in rules. You learn how ideas and stories are structured in English. But here is the important key. You must start at the right level. If you are a B1 learner and you pick up a very complicated philosophy book or a difficult academic article, what will happen? You will feel lost. You will feel frustrated. You will probably give up. It's like going to the gym for the first time and trying to lift the heaviest weight. Of course, you won't succeed, and of course, you'll feel bad. So, what's the solution? Start with something you can handle. These are called level-appropriate materials. They are made or adapted for learners at your stage. For example, you can read news articles written in simple English. Some websites, like News and Levels, rewrite stories at different levels so you can understand them step by step. You can read blogs about your hobbies, like gardening, cooking, or travel, as long as the language is not too advanced. Or you can use one of the most valuable resources for learners, graded readers. Graded readers are special books written at different English levels. Many of them are simplified versions of famous stories, and others are original novels written just for learners. You can find them for beginners, intermediate learners, and advanced students. Now, let me give you the single most important tip for reading in English. Try not to translate in your head. Instead of changing every word into your own language, change it into a picture in your mind. Make a movie in your imagination. For example, if you read this sentence, "The old wooden boat drifted slowly across the calm blue lake." Don't stop and translate old wooden boat or calm blue lake into your language. Instead, close your eyes and see it. Imagine the boat. Is it big or small? What color is the wood? Can you hear the water? Now, imagine the lake. Is the sun shining? Are there mountains around it? The stronger your mental movie, the stronger the direct connection between the English words and the meaning will become. No translation needed. Let's go back to the story of Kenji from Japan. Kenji loved reading in his own language. But when he tried reading in English, it was a nightmare. His process was very slow and very tiring. Here's what he used to do. He would read one sentence. Then he would look up every single word he didn't know in his Japanese-English dictionary. He would write the meanings in a notebook. Then he would try to piece together the sentence, word by word, like a puzzle. The result? After one whole hour, Kenji had only read 2 or 3 pages.
He was exhausted.
It felt like decoding a secret message instead of enjoying a story. Then his teacher gave him new advice. He suggested that Kenji buy a simple detective story, a graded reader at the B1 level. But here was the big change. The teacher gave him a rule. You are not allowed to use your dictionary during the first read of a chapter, he said. Your only goal is to follow the main story. If you miss 20% of the words, it doesn't matter. Just keep reading and try to enjoy what is happening. Kenji wasn't sure. He thought, how can I read without understanding every word? That feels impossible. But he trusted his teacher and decided to try. Kenji opened his new detective novel and began to read. The story was about a private investigator in Chicago who was trying to find a missing diamond necklace. At first, Kenji worried about all the new words. But instead of stopping, he followed his teacher's advice. He closed his eyes and began to visualize the scenes in his mind. He imagined the detective's dusty office, with files stacked on the desk and the sound of rain tapping on the window. He imagined the rich woman who hired him, wearing an expensive dress and jewels. He imagined the dark, wet streets of Chicago at night, with glowing lamps and long shadows. Even though Kenji didn't know every word, he realized he didn't need to. The story still made sense. For example, when the text said the detective was suspicious, Kenji didn't know that word. But from the other sentences, he understood that the detective did not trust the woman's husband. That was enough to keep the story alive in his head. This was a revelation for him. Reading English didn't have to feel like a math exercise. It could be fun. It could even be exciting. He stopped counting the words he didn't know and started enjoying the mystery. For the first time, Kenji read a whole chapter and forgot he was even studying. He was simply absorbed in the story. Then, after finishing a chapter, he would go back and check a few key words he had missed. But by then, the plot was already clear in his mind, so looking up the words felt like adding color and detail to a painting he already understood. This simple two-step method changed everything for him. First step: read without stopping, without a dictionary. Focus on the story. Second step: go back later and check a few words if you want. By connecting the English sentences directly to the movie in his head, Kenji's brain started to process the language naturally. He no longer needed to translate word by word. Here's a practice for you. Tonight or tomorrow, find a short English story or article online, something you find interesting. Read it once all the way through without stopping. Don't use a dictionary. Don't worry about the words you don't know. Just focus on the main idea and see what you can understand from the context and your imagination. You may be surprised at how much you actually follow. Now we arrive at the part that many learners fear the most, but that is absolutely essential: speaking. You cannot learn to think in English if you never produce English yourself. You can listen to podcasts, read books, and watch movies all day long. But to make English truly your own, you must speak it. The problem is that many learners feel blocked by fear. The fear of mistakes. The fear of sounding silly. The fear of people laughing. Maybe the fear that you won't find the right words. But here is the truth. Mistakes are not your enemy. Mistakes are your teachers. Mistakes are proof that you are trying. Every mistake is a small stone on the path toward fluency. Think of it this way. Every time you make a mistake, your brain notices the error, repairs it, and makes the path stronger. That's real learning happening in the moment. Without mistakes, you would never grow. So, instead of running away from mistakes, you must welcome them. They are a necessary and even beautiful part of the process. But you might now ask, what if I don't have anyone to practice with? I don't live in an English-speaking country. I don't have English-speaking friends. How can I practice speaking? This is a very real problem for millions of learners around the world. But don't worry, I have a powerful solution. The solution is simple. Talk to yourself in English. Yes, really. Talk to yourself out loud when you are alone. You can do it in your car, in your room, while you are cooking, or even when you are taking a walk. This method is incredibly effective because it removes all the pressure. Nobody is listening. Nobody will judge you. You can speak freely, make as many mistakes as you want, and practice forming sentences again and again. And the best part? When you speak to yourself, you practice the most important skill of all: thinking directly in English. There is no one to judge you. You cannot embarrass yourself. You cannot fail in front of anyone. When you talk to yourself, you are completely free. Free to experiment.
Free to try.
Free to make mistakes. And free to try again. Now, let me show you exactly how this works in practice. Think of yourself as the narrator of your own life. Imagine you are at home in the morning, just starting your day. You can begin a running commentary in English. For example, okay, the alarm is ringing. It's 7 a.m. I really should get out of bed now, but I feel tired. Maybe I will stay here for 5 more minutes. No, I need to get up. I'm walking to the bathroom now. The floor is cold. I need to wash my face. The water is cool. It feels nice. Now I need to brush my teeth. Where is my toothbrush? Ah, here it is. I am putting toothpaste on the brush. That's it. Nothing complicated. You are simply describing what you are doing and what you are feeling in real time. Now, let's look at the story of Jara from Brazil. Jara was a university student studying engineering. She knew fluent English would be essential for her career, but she was very shy. In her English class, her heart would beat fast every time she was asked to speak. She was so scared of making a mistake that she usually stayed silent. One day, her teacher noticed this and gave her some advice. She said, "Try talking to yourself in English for 15 minutes every day. No pressure. No audience. Just you." At first, Jara thought it was silly. She shared an apartment, and she was worried her roommate would hear her and think she was crazy. So she waited until she was alone, or she whispered very quietly to herself. She started small. On her way to the university, she would describe what she saw. "I am walking down the main street now. The sun is shining. That feels nice. There are many cars and buses. That green car is driving very fast. I see a dog across the street. It's a small brown poodle. Very cute. Now I am passing the library. Many students are going inside." It felt strange at first, but she kept going. After 1 week, it started to feel more natural. She could find words more quickly. Then she pushed herself further. She didn't just describe the world around her. She began to describe her thoughts and feelings. "I have a difficult exam tomorrow. I feel nervous. I need to study tonight. I hope I can remember everything.
I'm hungry.
What should I eat for lunch? Maybe I'll go to the cafeteria." Slowly, something amazing began to happen. This external monologue, speaking out loud, began to turn into an internal monologue, thinking in English. Jara found that she was no longer translating everything into Portuguese in her head. She was starting to form sentences directly in English, even without speaking them. And in her English class, she was more confident. The words were ready, close to the surface of her mind, because she had been practicing all day long, in private, without pressure. This little daily habit became her secret weapon. You can try this too. Here's a simple exercise. Pick one routine activity. For example, washing the dishes after a meal. As you do it, describe it in English step by step. "Okay, time to wash the dishes. This plate is very dirty. I'm turning on the hot water. I need more soap. I am scrubbing the plate now. I have to be careful not to break it. I like listening to music when I do this." You don't need complicated vocabulary. Start simple. Speak what comes to your mind. Over time, your sentences will grow longer and more natural. You might be wondering, what should I say? What topic should I choose? Should it be perfect? The truth is, it doesn't have to be perfect or even very interesting. The goal is not poetry. The goal is to get your brain used to forming sentences in English without stopping. Step 1. Use your voice recorder. You have a free tool right now on your phone, the voice recorder app. Use it like your own private English coach. Here's how to do it. Choose a very simple topic. For example, my favorite movie, my plans for the weekend, a happy childhood memory, what I ate for breakfast. Set a timer for 2 minutes. Press record and just speak. Don't stop. Don't correct yourself. Don't worry if you repeat or get stuck. Just keep talking until the timer finishes. When you're done, play it back. At first, you might hate listening to your own voice. That's normal. Everyone feels that way. But this is where the magic happens. As you listen, you'll notice things you never noticed while speaking. Maybe you keep making the same grammar mistake. Maybe your pronunciation of one sound is unclear. Maybe you are using the same words again and again. This is not a reason to feel bad. This is golden feedback. It's personal, real, and 100% about your English. The next day, try again with the same topic. This time, try to fix just one mistake you noticed. Repeat this cycle. Speak, listen, fix, repeat. This simple routine is one of the fastest ways to improve your spoken English. Step 2. Practice shadowing. Now, let's add another very powerful technique. It's called shadowing. Shadowing means you listen to a short audio of a native speaker, and at the same time, you try to copy them exactly, their pronunciation, their rhythm, their flow. Imagine you are their shadow, following every move. This is not about understanding every single word. It's about copying the music of the language. Let's go back to Chloe from France. She was doing great with listening to podcasts on her train rides. She could understand much more than before. But when she spoke, her voice felt flat, and her accent was very strong. She discovered shadowing and decided to try it. She picked a 30-second clip from one of her favorite podcasts. The host spoke clearly and not too fast. The first time, it was a disaster. She pressed play, tried to copy the voice, and the words came out all wrong. She couldn't keep up. She felt silly, even though she was completely alone. She almost gave up. But then she remembered how listening had been hard at first too. So she made a new plan. First, she listened to the clip 5 times with no speaking, just listening carefully. Then she found the transcript of the podcast and read it out loud by herself, slowly. After that, she used an app to slow down the audio to 75% speed. She played the slowed version and shadowed it. This time it was still hard but possible. She could feel the rise and fall of the speaker's voice. She noticed which words were stressed. She practiced that 30-second clip for 10 minutes every day. The next week, she tried it again at full speed. To her surprise, it was much easier. She could almost perfectly match the speaker's voice, rhythm, and intonation. This practice gave Chloe a huge boost of confidence. For the first time, she felt like she sounded a little bit like a real native speaker. After practicing shadowing for a month, Chloe decided to take on a new audio clip and repeat the process.
She spent just 10 minutes a day on this.
Slowly, she noticed a real change. Her speaking became smoother, more connected, and her rhythm sounded much more natural. Shadowing trained both her mouth and her brain to produce English sounds automatically, something listening alone could never achieve. Learning vocabulary the smart way. Now, let's focus on vocabulary. How do you learn new words so that you think in English, instead of always translating? Many of us start the usual way, using a bilingual dictionary or a simple word list. You see the English word happy, and you immediately look for the word in your language. The problem with this method is that it builds a translation habit. English word, native language word. If you want to think directly in English, you need to break that link. You want a new connection. English word meaning / concept image / feeling. Step 1. Use an English dictionary. Use a dictionary made for learners, like the Oxford Learner's Dictionary or Cambridge Learner's Dictionary online. Example. You find the word enormous. Step 1. Don't translate it. Don't type it into Google Translate. Step 2. Look it up in the Learner's Dictionary. You will see a simple English definition, extremely large or very, very big. Step 3. Check the example sentences. He lived in an enormous house with 20 rooms. An elephant is an enormous animal. They made an enormous profit on the sale. Now, in your mind, Enormous is connected to the idea of something exceptionally large, not a single word in your native language. You also see how to use it in sentences. Omar's vocabulary method. Let's imagine Omar from Egypt. Omar had been keeping a vocabulary notebook for years. His old notebook was simple. Left column, English word. Right column, Arabic word. After learning this new method, he threw the old notebook away and started fresh. His new method was more creative and effective. Here's how he learned the word exhausted. At the top of a blank page, he wrote, exhausted. Below it, he wrote the simple English definition from his learner's dictionary, extremely tired. Then he copied one example sentence from the dictionary. After running a marathon, I felt completely exhausted. After that, he wrote his own personal sentence to create an emotional connection. After studying for my final exams for 6 hours straight, I felt completely exhausted. Finally, he added synonyms and antonyms. Synonyms: tired, drained. Antonyms: energetic, refreshed. Finally, Omar added one last thing to his vocabulary page, a small, simple picture. For example, he drew a tiny stick figure lying on the ground with its tongue out to show being extremely tired. By doing all of this, Omar was connecting the new word exhausted to many things at once. English definition: extremely tired. Contextual examples: sentences showing how the word is used. Personal memory: a situation from his own life. Synonyms and antonyms: words with similar or opposite meaning. A visual image: a small drawing. This multi-layered approach helped Omar remember the word in a very strong and meaningful way. Later, whenever he felt extremely tired, the English word exhausted would pop into his mind immediately. He didn't need to think of the Arabic word first and then translate. It came directly in English. This is how you build a rich and directly accessible English vocabulary. Learn chunks, not just single words. Learning single words is important, but if you really want to sound fluent, you need to learn chunks. So, what is a chunk? A chunk is a group of words that native speakers often use together. It could be a phrase, a collocation, or a common expression. Native speakers don't think word by word. Instead, they pull ready-made phrases from memory and speak naturally. Let's look at a student named Jin from South Korea. Jin was very smart. He knew a lot of vocabulary and every grammar rule. When he wrote in English, it looked almost perfect. But when he spoke, he was very slow. You could almost see him thinking, which word should I use next? He had to carefully pick each word and build the sentence step by step. Then his teacher taught him about chunking. She explained, instead of just learning the word suggest, learn the chunk. I suggest we. Instead of just learning the word depends, learn the chunk. It depends on. Jin loved systematic methods, so he started a chunk notebook. Here's what he did. He listened to podcasts or watched videos. He wrote down all the common phrases or chunks he noticed. Examples include, by the way, on the other hand, I'm looking forward to be honest, as far as I know, I see what you mean. He didn't analyze the grammar of these chunks. He treated each one as a single unit, like a vocabulary word. Then he practiced using them in his speaking. For example, instead of saying, my opinion is that this is a good idea, he said, to be honest, I think it's a good idea. Instead of saying, the price is reliant on the quality, he said, the price depends on the quality. The result. After a few months, this had a big effect on his speaking. His brain no longer had to build every sentence from scratch. His speaking speed improved a lot. He sounded more natural and fluent. He was no longer a human grammar machine. He was a real communicator. Learning chunks, not just single words, is one of the most important steps to thinking and speaking directly in English. All of the techniques we've talked about, deep immersion, passive and active listening, reading while visualizing, speaking to yourself, shadowing, and learning in chunks, work together to create a powerful new habit in your brain. The final, most important step is learning to think in English. This is the internal monologue we talked about with Jara, but now we can practice it intentionally, every day. Start small. You don't need to think about complicated ideas in English right away. Start with simple, immediate thoughts. For example, when you're standing in a queue at the supermarket, instead of letting your mind wander in your native language, try observing your surroundings in English in your head. Okay, that woman has a lot of vegetables in her cart. She must be very healthy. The man in front of me is buying a lot of ice cream. I wonder which flavor it is. I need to remember to buy milk and bread. The line is moving very slowly. I am getting a little bored. These are simple, low-pressure thoughts. No one is listening. There's no one to judge your grammar. This is a safe space to practice your English freely. The story of David. Let's look at a real example, a businessman named David from Germany. David spoke English for work, but he always felt like he was performing. His brain automatically translated everything from German to English, which was exhausting. He wanted to feel more natural and relaxed. His teacher gave him a simple task. Start with 5 minutes a day. Set a timer for 5 minutes, maybe 3 times a day. During these 5 minutes, the only goal was to think exclusively in English. No German allowed. The first week was very hard. His brain was so used to thinking in German that it kept producing German thoughts automatically. Whenever he caught himself thinking in German, he would gently guide his thoughts back to English, without self-criticism. During a session, he might think, okay, what am I doing right now? I am sitting at my desk. I am looking at my computer screen. There are many emails in my inbox. I have a big meeting at 3 p.m. today. I need to prepare my presentation. These first sessions felt long and exhausting, but he treated them like exercise for the brain, mental bicep curls for English. Progress over time. In the second week, it became a little easier. The English thoughts started coming more smoothly. After a month of consistent practice, he increased the sessions to 10 minutes. These short, focused thinking sessions were strengthening the English path in his brain, making it faster and more natural to access. Over time, something amazing happened. He didn't need a timer anymore. While driving home, he could spontaneously think in English. Oh, the traffic is really heavy today. I might be late. During a meeting, he would form his responses directly in English, without translating from German first. This was when David realized, with a deep sense of accomplishment, that his brain was finally learning to think in English naturally. Everyday practice. You can combine this intentional practice with everyday decisions. For example, when deciding what to wear in the morning, the weather forecast says it will be sunny, but a little cool. Should I wear a sweater or a jacket? I think I'll wear the blue sweater. It goes well with these trousers. Every small thought in English, even about daily life, strengthens your ability to think in English automatically. When you're planning your weekend, try to do it in English in your head. For example, on Saturday morning, I need to go to the supermarket. Then in the afternoon, I want to meet my friends. On Sunday, I just want to relax. Maybe I'll watch a movie and read my book. By using English for these everyday thoughts, you are training your brain to make English a useful, practical tool, not just something you study from a textbook. be patient and kind to yourself. Learning to think in a new language is a big achievement for your brain. It is not easy or simple. Some days, the words will flow easily, and you will feel on top of the world. Other days, you might feel stuck, like you cannot find even the simplest words. Your brain might feel tired, and you might want the comfort of your native language. That is 100% okay. Be patient and compassionate with yourself. The learning plateau. Almost every language learner experiences this, especially at the intermediate level. It is called a learning plateau. A plateau happens when you've been studying hard and making good progress. Then suddenly it feels like you are not improving anymore. You are not getting worse, but you also don't feel like you're getting better. This can feel frustrating and discouraging, but it is completely normal. David's plateau story. Let's return to David, the German businessman. After a year of steady practice, his English was good for work, but he felt stuck. He kept using the same vocabulary and sentence structures. He was bored with his routine of listening to podcasts and doing thinking exercises. He almost believed that this was his final level. Then he spoke with his teacher. His teacher explained, "When your progress stalls, you need to change your routine. You need to challenge your brain in a new way. Think of it like going to the gym. If you do the same exercise all the time, your muscles stop growing. To get stronger, you need new exercises." Finding a new challenge. David decided to find a new challenge. He loved reading, so he searched online and found an international English-speaking book club that met on Zoom once a month. At first, he was terrified. This wasn't a language class, it was for native speakers who loved literature. He worried he would sound foolish. But he remembered the importance of facing his fears, so he joined. The first book they read was a modern novel with complex themes. Reading it was the hardest thing he had done in English. He had to read slowly and keep a dictionary nearby. It took effort, but he finished the book. The first meeting. When the Zoom meeting began, David was extremely nervous. The conversation was fast. The speakers were intelligent and used a lot of advanced vocabulary. At first, David just listened, trying to follow the ideas without worrying about understanding every word. Even though it was challenging, he survived the experience. Listening and participating in this new environment shocked his brain in a positive way. By exposing himself to this higher-level English, David's brain started to adapt, and over time, he regained progress and felt more confident than ever. Then, during the book club meeting, the host asked David a direct question about a character in the book. His heart started pounding. He felt nervous, but he took a deep breath and answered. He spoke for about 2 minutes. His English was not perfect, but he expressed his idea clearly. The other members listened and responded thoughtfully. For David, this was a huge moment. This experience was exactly what he needed. The new challenge pushed him out of his comfort zone. He was exposed to new vocabulary, complex ideas, and natural English conversation. It helped him break through his plateau and continue improving. Lessons for when you feel stuck. If you ever feel stuck in English, don't panic. This is normal. A plateau is your brain's way of saying, it's time for a new challenge. If you usually listen to podcasts, try watching a challenging English movie. If you usually read articles, try writing a short story. If you usually talk to yourself, find a language partner online. A new challenge will push your brain to adapt, learn, and grow. Remember, this is not about being perfect. It's not a race. It's about consistency. Small steps build big results. Even small daily actions are powerful. Think of learning English like building a house brick by brick. Changing your phone language to English, laying one brick. listening to an English podcast on the way to work another brick, labeling objects in your home with sticky notes another brick, reading a chapter of a book without a dictionary another brick, talking to yourself in English another brick. Each action might seem small or simple, but over weeks and months, all the bricks come together. They build a strong, beautiful, and lasting house. Your English-thinking brain is that house. You are the architect and the builder. Stories of real learners. Let's remember the inspiring learners we've met. Marco from Italy learned English through his phone. Anna from Poland labeled everything in her apartment with sticky notes. Chloe from France transformed her train commute into English learning. Kenji from Japan visualized stories in graded readers. Jara from Brazil narrated her daily life in English. Omar from Egypt created a rich vocabulary notebook with images and examples. Jin from Korea learned English chunks to speak naturally. David from Germany joined a book club and faced challenging conversation. All of them came from different countries, jobs, and lifestyles, but they shared one important habit: small, consistent efforts every single day. They didn't wait for the perfect moment. They didn't wait to travel or have the perfect resources. They started where they were with what they had. The magic moment. Slowly, patiently, brick by brick, they reshaped their brains. They built clear, strong paths for English in their minds. And then one day, something magical happens. You might watch an English movie without subtitles and realize you understood almost everything. You might have a conversation with a native speaker and only afterward notice that you were thinking directly in English, not translating at all. That is the result of consistent practice, small steps, and courage. Your brain is building a new, powerful way to use English, and that day will come for you too. Or, like many dedicated learners have experienced, one morning you might wake up and realize you just had your first dream entirely in English. That is a truly amazing sign. It shows that English is no longer just a language you study. It has become a living, natural part of your subconscious mind. Your challenge. After listening to all these ideas today, don't feel overwhelmed. You don't need to do everything at once. Instead, choose just one technique from today's episode and start tomorrow. Maybe you'll change your phone language to English. Maybe you'll find one podcast to listen to on your commute. Maybe you'll try the shadowing technique for just 5 minutes with a short clip. Whatever you choose, commit to it for 1 week, just 7 days. Pay attention to how it feels and notice the small changes. Every step counts. The golden idea. Learning a language is a journey. Every epic journey begins with a single brave step. We have covered so much today. Creating deep immersion in English. Practical techniques for listening, reading, speaking, and thinking in English. Using your daily routines to practice naturally. The central message is simple. By making English a regular, enjoyable part of your everyday life, you slowly shift your brain from relying on your native language to processing thoughts, feelings, and ideas directly in English. It takes time, patience, and consistency, but it is absolutely possible. You already have the ability to do it. Final words. Thank you for spending this time with me today on Super English Talks. I hope you feel inspired,
Motivated.
equipped with practical ideas to improve your English every day. The power to change how you think in English is already inside your head. If this episode helped you, please subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss future lessons. Turn on notifications so you are the first to know when a new episode is ready. Keep practicing. Stay curious. And most importantly, be patient and kind with yourself. You're doing a wonderful job. I'm your host, Jara, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon. Goodbye for now.